Hello everyone and welcome to day 2 of my 90-day video challenge or uploads, whatever you want to call it. Today I thought I'd talk about something pretty simple and just, uh, even if you're an advanced player, kind of stick with me here and maybe you will learn a thing or two. So today I'm just going to talk about hammer-ons and pull-offs. And just how to execute them correctly. And there are actually different types of hammer-ons and pull-offs that players like Sean Lane, Alan Holdsworth use. Frank Gambale or Gamble, ever how you pronounce his last name, is a pretty massive proponent of this type of playing as well. But just for starters, what a hammer-on and pull-off are is they're basically, instead of having your pick and doing alternate picking all the time, like that. Anyway, sloppy, but instead of having to pick every note, what you would do for a hammer-on is you would pick a note, and then you would use your finger as basically a hammer and hammer on to the next note. And you would produce a tone that way instead of picking. So, whoops. That would be what a hammer-on is. And of course that can be done with any of your fingers. And the pull-off is actually the exact opposite. So we'll take a note, say here, pick the note, and pull off. Hammer-ons in the beginning for most players seem to be a bit easier to execute because it is a slightly different motion. The the hammer-on is basically, it's pretty easy. It's kind of straightforward, just using your fingers as little hammers basically. But the pull-off is kind of the opposite. What you're doing there is for a pull-off, you're picking the note, and then you're actually having to pull off or flick down. That's kind of like a small flicking motion towards the floor, like that. And that can be done with any finger. So it's definitely a flicking motion. I'm kind of exaggerating that motion a little bit, just so you can have an idea. And you can, do all sorts of things with that as well. But if you do a pull-off without doing the flicking motion, what you're going to get is just this. You're not going to get any tone. You can't just pull off and get a tone. You do have to pull down, flick down. And so that kind of messes with people in the beginning just a little bit, when they kind of start to get a grasp of hammer-ons and pull-offs. But what you can do for practice, you can just take, for example, on the E string, you can just do something like this with your first finger, second finger, and your fourth finger. And you can do pick, hammer-on, pull-off, pull-off. And then actually you can just keep repeating the hammer-on and pull-off like that. So, just start with a pick. Just make sure that, the idea here really is not so much speed, but the idea here really is just to make everything clean. Like that. And then I would start with a high E string because, you know, if you get down here, you know, you do want to practice it down here for sure, you know, on all the other strings. But the thing is about when you kind of get off the high E string, you do have to watch for muting, you know, your strings that are below the one that you're on. And then also when you're pulling off, not to hit them with your other fingers. So the motion, like I said, is, I believe I was kind of exaggerating it a little bit, but it's very subtle. It's not a, you know, large motion like this. It's about what I do right there. And you can take that to, you know, you don't have to use this particular shape. You can use this shape, which is basically, let's see, pointer finger, third finger, and fourth finger. It's a minor shape. Well, depending on how you look at it, anyway. Now that one is a pretty good workout for your pinky because it kind of targets the pinky and the ring finger, which are kind of the weaker fingers. But you want to, you know, if you decide to practice that one, you want to take that on all of your other strings too. Just like the B string, G string. And you can also do one like this, where you have your first finger, second finger, and fourth finger. So you have 2 frets in between each finger. Like that. Ooh, kind of a stretch. And then what you can do is just take one single shape and just run it, you know, on all 6 strings. That is the first, second, and fourth finger, and then back down. It's a pretty good workout there. Whoops. Switch up shapes. That one's kind of a stretch. Whoops. Need to practice that one myself. Yep. But anyway, so that's kind of a couple of good exercises.